Hi guys, I'm Fernando Unga. Sometimes I'm asked how much leverage do you use? In my opinion, this question is really dangerous. It shows sort of a wrong attitude, a wrong approach to trading. Just because with the leverage in mind, how much leverage, it seems like we are trying to maximize the money we have at our disposal, which is normally the money we have in our account. And if we want to maximize the effects of this money, it's obviously because we think about potential profits, which is fine, of course. But when we think about profits, we start thinking the wrong way, because the proper way I suggest and the proper way I see successful traders follow is always start thinking about losses first, and then profits is a second step. What does it mean? It means that when you open a position, you should take care of how much that position can lose, and you should dimension that position, should choose a proper size so that a certain level of losses is not exceeded in your account. Let's say I have an account of $10,000 and I decide, as I suggest, and which is a good rule, to risk no more than 2% of this balance in next trade. 2% of $10,000 is $200. So now I have my position on Forex, for example. If I use a full lot and the full lot has a stop loss, because the position, when my trade is supposed to have a stop loss of 50 pips, for example, then I know that with a full lot I will be losing $500 normally. So how much should I therefore size my position so that my loss is of $200 instead of the $500 with a full lot? Obviously, a full lot is not the right choice. I should work with a certain number of mini lots, or in some cases micro lots. I don't tell you how much because I want you to do it yourself, or to prepare a small Excel spreadsheet where you just put some numbers and you get the result. But it is important, really important, to start from this point of view. How much am I willing? Am I prepared to lose? I don't think anybody is willing to lose. But how much am I prepared to lose? And how does my trade look like? My trade has these rules, so and so many pips, ticks, depending on the instrument, stop loss. Perfect. How large or small can my position be to keep my losses within the limits that I want to put? The limits are subjective because they depend on your risk profile. But obviously, I always suggest to keep these limits very small, at least at the beginning, but also later on. And 2% is always something which is reasonable. It's not small. 2% is already something a little bit bold, in my opinion. So I don't know how much leverage I use, really, because I never start thinking about leverage. I checked, I use futures, and so on futures, these are leveraged products themselves. And I checked from time to time, and I saw that in some days where I have many systems at work, many open positions, my margin requirements are more or less about 1/3 of the total amount of my account, which means that actually I'm not really putting too much gas in my work. I'm not running too fast because 1/3 of the total account is obviously not too much. So somebody could argue, yeah, well, why do you keep all that excessive money, the 2/3 you don't need on that account? You could use them elsewhere. Well, this is maybe a topic for another video because it's impossible to deal with this in a couple of minutes. It's reasonable. In reality, to open that kind of size, I need that money because it starts from the risk based on that money. I don't need it physically because I don't need it to be there to let me open the position, but I need it as I'm referring to it as my balance, and based on that I decide how much I can trade. As said, I will cover this to a wider extent on a second time, and it will be interesting, but for today, keep in mind, always start thinking about your losses first. Try to limit these losses as much as possible. Try to limit them within a reasonable amount, where reasonable means something you can easily cope with. And then, if your strategy is well prepared, profits will take care of themselves. Losses first. Don't think about leverage. Think about how much you can lose, how much you can afford to lose, how much is not killing your account if you lose it, or if you lose it more times in a row. That's it for today. We keep in touch next time. Ciao from Andrea Ugo. Enjoyed it? Click the link below and you will be noticed as soon as new material is available.